Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped, back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking the new EUSTASS Kid Superclass Super Tandem unit into some arenas and showcasing the true power of this particular unit for the Driven and Striker class. Now, I have taken Kid and Law into a lot of content. Unfortunately, your boy's been quite sick, so I do apologize if I do go dark throughout this video, because I'm in the middle of having like a massive coughing fit. I'm like at the end of my sickness, hopefully, but don't stress. I haven't forgotten about the tier lists. We have a lot of content to upload, so I have been still working on stuff behind the scenes whilst I have been in bed. But I did want to get this video out to you guys because we do have the Katarina Devon arena coming out tomorrow. And I did want to showcase what Kid can do in arenas, because I do think this is where Kid shines the most. He's very, very strong when it comes to short content. Content that doesn't give you cooldowns, he's very, very good at. And in today's video, we have 4 arenas, and we're no-stalling all of them. Starting off with Kawamatsu, and going all the way up to stuff like the Ashura Doji, which in my opinion is probably one of the hardest arenas in the entire game. So, let's take a quick look at what Captain Kid's kit does. And firstly, take a look at his captain ability. He reduces Driven and Striker characters' special charge by 3 turns, and then boosts their attack by 5.25 and HP by 1.6. Makes Int, Quick, and Tandem slots have matching slot effects, but then cuts the crew's HP by 10% at the end of every turn. So basically, with 2 kids, you are taking like 19% HP cut every single turn, as it does multiply. But you are getting a lot of attack to Driven and Strikers, and you are getting a lot of HP as well, so that is something to note. Plus, you do get a lot of cooldowns. With 2 kids, you're getting 6 turns of cooldowns right off the bat. If you bring a ship that can give 1 turn of cooldown, that's an extra, that's 7. 2 with sockets, so that's 9. Like, you can do a lot. You can actually do a lot. If you bring the waifus, the new waifus, who I haven't included in this video, by the way, if you bring them, that's another turn. So you could ideally get 10 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest. Like, it's actually insane. Not to mention that, but Kid is a Driven captain. Driven have a lot of very good support. They got buffed. They've sort of dropped off a little bit lately, but they had a lot of good support. And he's a Striker captain. And Strikers have been getting, like, support out of the wazoo, like, leading up to, like, Kaido in the anniversary. With, like, Wodger. He has access to Wodger. He has access to stuff like V1 V Rebecca. So the sub potential that Kid has, because he's a Driven and a Striker captain, is very, very strong. Very, very good. He does have access to stuff like Versa Kainu. He has access to the whole of the Kaido batch as well. He does have access to a lot of very, very good free-to-play characters as well. So this guy is an absolute demon. Very, very good captain ability. And as you guys saw there, he had no issues taking down Kawamatsu. Like, no issues whatsoever. Let's move on to the next arena now, and we'll have a talk about what his special actually does. Alright, so next arena we have Swanjuan Wolf. Mr. Swanjuan. With Kid, his special ability will reduce all enemies' HP by 20%, ignoring all defensive effects. He boosts Driven and Striker characters' chain multiply growth rate of normal attacks up to 0.6, at a 0.2 for a good, a 0.4 for a great, 0.6 for a perfect, this is a new mechanic that allows you to get a lot of extra damage with your chain. Very, very strong. Then he boosts the attack of Driven and Strikers by 2.75, changes all slots, including he changes type slots and block slots into T&D, and prevents their slots from being changed until Driven or Strikers land a perfect. If you have an attack buff, he then becomes a orb buff for 2 turns at a 2.5 rate. So this is awesome if you are running 2 kids and you're using both of their specials on the same turn, because you can have one of them be your attack booster, and the other one can be your orb booster. That way you can have a lot of damage output, literally just with your captains. You get a lot of orb manipulation as well, and because he does damage, as you guys will see with this run, we can actually use stuff like Halloween Lore. If you have Halloween Lore as a support, you can get like an orb boost and an attack boost just with 1 kid special. You can also give yourself a full board of orbs, which works out very, very nicely. The downside I do find to his special is he rotates type slots and block orbs into tandem and then does the super lock. If you have something like an empty slot or a recovery slot, this won't apply. Or a bomb slot, something like that. Kid will only rotate type slots, so you have to find a way to like make your orbs types or block slots. Now you'll actually see that as a bit of an issue when we go up against a Shoutout, because the Shoutout actually gives us unfavorable orbs, and it can become a little bit of an issue for Kid, but his special nevertheless does a lot of damage. 2.75 times attack boost, giving yourself a full board of tandem slots, which works with his super tandem, which we haven't spoken about yet, as well as being an orb booster if you already have an attack boost. So he's a super class unit as well. His super class deals 100 times his attack in non-type damage. that ignores all defensive and reduces driven and striker characters' special charge by 1 turn, adding 0.25 to an attack boost. So it's that plus buff. You guys can actually see it right now as we just used it. That means that if we use an attack buff now, it's going to add that 0.25. So now Kid is now at 3 times attack boost, which is actually really, really good. Getting cooldowns as well is great. You'll actually see that against a Shoutout. It actually works out really, really well. It's great for getting around stuff like the special reverse mechanic, especially on the final stage if there's stuff like Fear. It can work out very, very nicely too. So being a super class unit allows him a lot of extra damage. And as you guys see here, like we know stalled Swanjaw and Wolf, like ridiculously easy. On to Shinobu now, another arena where we actually have type advantage. This arena can be a little bit annoying because there's a lot of slot bind, there's a lot of special reverse, there's a lot of fear. But lucky for us, Kid is a driven base captain, which means he actually has access to Stampede Buggy. Now, Stampede Buggy is really good for this because Stampede Buggy can get around all those nasty defects at the end. There's like paralysis and special bind and all this nasty stuff. As long as you don't have, if you are going to try this team or if you need to farm Shinobu, just make sure you put Buggy in your bottom left. That's the only thing I'm going to say about the arena before we continue. But another thing about Kid is with his super class as well, you do need some specific requirements. You do need killer, heat, wire on the crew, or you need your HP to be below 50%. Now, I do think this is really good that they've added that extra mechanic for Kid because there's not a lot of like killers going around in the game. Like, there are 2 very good ones. There is the free-to-play one that we just got released, actually. Like, he's actually a pretty good unit. 2.25 times color affinity if you have a full driven team is actually really, really strong. Plus, he is an int character, so you can build like a full int driven team, which is very easy to do because like int has a lot of good driven characters. And there's also the rare recruit killer, the one that came out during the last anniversary with the Onigashima trio. He's a very good unit. He's a striker, so you could easily run him on a team as well. Heat and Wire obviously got their first rare recruit, and we are using them on this particular team to activate the superclass. So that is another option if you did summon for this Kid and you picked up Heat and Wire. They're very, very good. But the fact is that Kid can actually activate his own super type, or super class, sorry, if you are below 50% HP. Now, because you are running 2 Kids most of the time when you are running like a Kid team, because you want all those cooldowns, you're getting a lot of HP cuts to yourself, which will drop your HP below 50% 90% of the time by the time you reach stage like 4 or 5. That way you'll have access to his super class no matter what, and you don't need to bring stuff like Heat and Wire or a killer on the team. Most of the time you do though, because Kid actually has a super tandem mechanic. Now my Kid is only at level 1, but his level 5 actually gets a lot stronger. Like, it gets a lot stronger. Unfortunately, I can't actually... No, there we go. At level 1, you need 2 driven characters and 1 of any of the following on the crew. So a total of 3 characters altogether, being Killer, Heat, Wire, or Luffy. So you need to have a Killer, a Heat, a Wire, or a Luffy as one of those characters. And then you need 2 other driven characters. Now, the beautiful thing about Kid is Kid will actually activate as your 2 driven characters. So all you need to do is bring a Heat, a Wire, a Killer, or a Luffy on the team, and you'll actually have access to his super tandem mechanic. Now, you need to bring those characters anyway, so it actually works out quite nicely in getting his super tandem. It's really not that difficult. His special gives you a full board of tandem slots, so it's very easy to get the tandem slots as well. And if you bring other other driven characters on the team, which most likely you will have, it's very easy to use them instead. As you guys will see here, we have Moria on the team. Moria is a driven character. He has a tandem slot, so he's going to be the one that activates our super tandem for us. So it all works out pretty hunky-dory. He applies a 1.25 times attack boost to driven and striker characters for 1 turn, and halves all enemies' defense by 1 turn as well. So the halving defense is like kind of whatever. But Heat and Wire, the new Heat and Wire, do double damage to defense down units. So this is kind of good, but unlike like Kaido, it doesn't go through full immunity. At level 5, it will lower the defense to 0, and as a 2 times attack boost to driven and strikers, and then you only need like 1 driven or striker, and then you still need the Killer, Heat, Wire, or Monkey D. Luffy. But his super tandem is just kind of like, it's just kind of nice, because like that extra 1.25 times damage, it like, it won't counteract with anything else in the game. There's nothing else like super tandem. There's no other buff that you can give, unless you're running like a hybrid with Kaido. But Kaido you can only activate on the final stage, and 99% of the time, you're going to want to use Kaidos instead of Kids. So, Kids Super Tandem is sort of like good throughout the run, but it's nothing that you sort of want to like, that you don't like, it's not like a must-have, I guess is the best way to put it. It does help, but it's not something that you just like have to make a Kid team work, I guess. So, with one more arena, I'm going to wrap up the video. Alright, so the final arena is against the big dog, Ashura Doji. Probably the hardest arena in the game, in my opinion. It's still very, very annoying to get around. But Kid managed to no-stall it, and with the help of Wadjo, it was kind of easy mode. The final, like, thoughts and opinions for myself on Kid is I really do like this unit. I think he's very, very good. He's great for speed farming, and if you guys have been around the channel for probably like the last 6 to 9 months, you guys will know me. I love my characters to give me cooldowns, and Kid does that very, very well. Like, you can get 9 turns of cooldown basically at the start of the fight with 2 Kid captains, your sockets, and your ship. And then with the super classes, if you chuck a heat, a wire, or a killer on the team, you actually have another two turns of cooldown with superclass as well. So you're getting 11 turns of cooldown at the start of the fight, like hypothetically. So you can do some crazy things. And chuck the waifus on there, that's 12. Like, you have, because you're driven, like you're building driven teams, you can put Mr. 3 support, that's another 2, like on particular characters. This killer gives 2 turns of cooldown as well. So you have a lot of cooldowns when it comes to Kid. And like I said, if you guys know me, you know I love my cooldowns when it comes to characters, especially for stuff like ARENAS right now. As I mentioned, I have taken Kid into stuff like the Kid Forest, and I did manage to beat it with double Kid. I will have that video up. Like I said, I have just been very unwell. So doing those longer videos has been taking a lot out of me. I'm starting to get a little bit better, so they're coming, but I really want to get the tier list video out as soon as I'm better and ready to go. With Kid though, that HP cut does sort of hinder him in longer content. Stuff like Dofi 2, stuff like Revolution Army 2, the Forest. It's not a place where Kid is going to shine, but where he does shine is places like this. In ARENAS, he's very, very good. He's a very, very strong character, and he's a very optimal character for speed farming through some older content, as well as stuff that's only like 5, maybe 6 stages long. Downside is, nowadays, is most events give characters cooldowns. Most events will want you to like tailor-make teams for particular pieces of content, and they'll just give you the cooldowns anyway. So we'll have to wait and see like how viable Kid is moving forward. But if you did manage to pull Kid and you have a lot of striker and driven characters and you're doing some old content, he's going to be really, really good to sort of speed farm stuff. But there obviously are better options as well, more brain-dead options for older content, stuff like V1 Kaido and whatnot as well. So it's where Kid sort of does struggle a little bit. Another big downside I do find to Kid is his orb manipulation and his ship choices are a little bit hindered, because Driven doesn't have like a great ship, or neither do Strikers really. They have like the Dolph Grohl, but like that ship sucks. His orb manipulation for empty orbs, as you guys saw on the previous stage, can struggle just a little bit with his special because it doesn't rotate empty orbs. Just a little bit annoying, but it's not the be-all or end-all, I guess. He does have great manipulation with this particular like idea here of the Super Lock. He's great for Kaido, the new Superclass Kaido that came out. He's like Kaido's best friend besides X-Drake. So all in all, I do really like this Kid. I do think he's going to see like a lot of play, especially on a Kaido team. I can see him like definitely finding a way in the Kaido team, just so like you can have access to stuff like this Super Lock mechanic. Because you could easily use the Kaido Superclass, right? Pop the Kid special, Super Lock the Wano Orbs and the Tandem, and then just hit some greats and keep them moving into the next stage. It's a perfect way to get around block orbs, and it's a big thing that Kaido struggled with. So I might do a showcase on that, because I do think that's where Kid is really going to showcase like his like highest potential and his highest damage potential, as he's also an attack booster and Kaido is an orb booster. So there's also that too. So all in all, I really do like the Kid. I do think I like him a little bit more than Law, but don't get me wrong, like I do love Law as well, and there'll be more videos on both these guys coming out moving forward anyway. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on the new Kid in the comment section below, and while you're down there, don't forget to belt the like button for me. If you are new, if you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Lates!